I'd like to introduce you Chief Hovers. He's the fire chief of the South Snohomish County, and here with Mabel in here. So Chief, can you just in general, what the fire service, a lot of audience, they never really get insight of the, in general, not particular South County Fire.
Sure.
Just describe this fire service in here.
Yeah, definitely. When anyone calls 911 for help, they generally see the fire department, but we're a lot more than the fire department. We respond to all types of emergencies. About 85% of what we respond to are medical or emergency medical service, EMS emergencies, or paramedic. We do all of that at South County Fire. And we also respond to motor vehicle collisions, any type of emergency that would happen in the home. When a storm would be really bad and the wind's starting to pick up right now and the wires go into a tree, we respond to that as well. So anytime you need help and dial 911, you're going to get the fire department.
哇，真係好喎，可以幫到我哋手做咁多樣嘢嚇。
係啊，好。Fire chief also now, we're always thinking you guys climb up to a tree to save a cat. Do we still do that or not really?
We don't do that. I can say in my 26 years I did that twice, but we don't do that anymore. We have a big ladder truck, and one time a cat was under I-5 and one time down a chimney. I've done that, but we don't do that anymore. But we will try to help get the right resources in place like animal control when that stuff happens.
So I also know that like drowning, lake, we have Edmonds, which is a shoreline. We do, can you explain a little bit on that too?
Yeah, the water safety is incredibly important, especially for children. And right now, as children are starting to get out of schools and people are going to our local lakes and beaches, need to make sure that they stay out of the water and also have on life jackets for anything that they're going to see out in the water to keep them safe. We also educate people about that through our public education and community outreach to let them know there's a lot of lakes in South County Fire, and as Commissioner Chan mentioned, we protect the shoreline of the Puget Sound from shoreline all the way up to Everett with a marine unit that we have at the Port of Edmonds.
所以佢講咧就啲，尤其是細佬哥咧玩水要小心，唔好浸親。我哋做消防員咧都去救你哋嘅。仲有咧就係 how about the chemicals and all the hassle? We have a special unit for that, right?
We do. There's a lot of chemicals and products that move on the train line that runs through Puget Sound. Right out behind us is Interstate 5. Behind us is State Route 99. All of those big trucks that carry a lot of chemicals will respond to those emergencies as well. If there's a traffic accident, they're involved, or if there's a leak at a fixed facility, like a manufacturing plant, we have a specialized hazardous materials team with specialized training and equipment that will respond to those emergencies as well.
哇！真係做好多樣嘢喎，樣樣都係呢個 fire department 去控制嘅喎。
係啊，尤其是好多啲化物學件咧，嗰啲嘢咧好危險嘅，所以佢哋全部有特別嘅制服裝備啊，咁樣去呢個咩啊？
Well, I'm proud to say South County Fire, in my humble opinion, is a very progressive fire agency. One of the things that we do different than a lot of fire departments is also respond to non-emergency calls or follow-ups with our Community Resource Paramedic Program. That's in a partnership with our Health Commission locally, and we will visit people back in their homes if they're having repeated calls or falls, 911, and we now offer that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's one thing that makes us unique, and also just we're growing so much here and our RFA is expanding. It's important that we try new things and be innovative.
What's a major challenge to me, like the light rail coming in 2024?
Yeah, no, Sound Transit 2's extension to the heart of Linwood, right in the middle of our RFA, and it eventually going all the way up into Everett. Our RFA is growing, the population's growing, everything is going vertical, more like a Bellevue or Seattle in our RFA, and the population is just growing. That's really one of the main challenges. We need to have enough resources and good people like the people that are just graduating our training academy to be able to fill available spots and to be able to connect with our growing and changing communities.
Yeah, I think that's, I know now our traffic, now even community traffic, they're trying to get the buses go into Linwood. So there's a lot of people visiting our area. That's really good.
Not just to live, but to travel to Seattle, yeah,
right,
and come home. Yeah.
And also I just heard you talk about to the cadets and talk about the diversity of the changings of the profile of Snohomish County. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, Snohomish County is one of the fastest growing counties in Washington State. And I talked to the recruits earlier. You'll see some male and female recruits here, but diversity used to just mean gender, man or woman. People used to say firemen, it's firefighters. We have a lot of women firefighters, but what we're trying to do is hire people of all kinds of people. Diversity to increase inclusiveness with our communities and be able to communicate with those residents within our RFA. So if we can have people that closely reflect the different populations that we have, and one thing I talked to Commissioner Chan about, our growing Asian American community in the RFA, it's going to help us be better servants to our customers and our taxpayers. That's important to us.
Yeah， 其實咧，佢哋所謂消防員咧，其實好多咧係醫藥救護員嚟嘅，嗰啲仲緊要，因為佢80%咧都係嗰啲人嚟嘅，所以如果你識講話或者咩咧，係一個一個好重要嘅。
仲有消防員唔單止淨係男仔喎，原來係女士都好需要嘅。
Right. So actually, one thing I want to clarify. A lot of the movie called Bad Draft, of course. Kurt Russell's or whatever the guys. They're 6'4", all muscles and all that stuff. Is that really all you're looking for, or is anyone can really apply?
I think anyone can really do this job if they have the determination, what we call grit. They just need to be able to try. You never know until you try.
And you do.
I think so. I think you'll see recruit Saldano over there is just about your size. So what's different now, we actually apply some different hose handling techniques that have origins actually based in judo and jiu-jitsu, and being able to use your hip and your back, your core strength. You don't have to be 6'4" anymore to do the firefighting job. We have different hoses, we have different nozzles, and if you are active and you are a person that can enjoy a sport, you can probably give it a try and try to be a firefighter.
But
and
also,
they prove it here.
Yeah, but also paramedic now. Those are the more critical with your skill. And then I'm thinking, I think you talked to actually the paramedic, or they are extensions of the healthcare. Just like doctors and nurses, can you expand on that?
It's 85% of what we do, I mentioned, is emergency medical services. But the paramedics that we have, they're actually extensions of the doctor. They call the doctors in the emergency rooms. They have protocols. They're really the field eyes, ears, and hands of the physicians at the hospitals. And it's a great program. If you have interest in the medical field, you start as an EMT, but you only have to be an EMT for 1 year, and you can apply to be a paramedic. And that training is actually provided by our RFA through a partnership with Central Washington University, and all with the Harborview with the University of Washington.
Can you explain what EMT stands for?
Oh, sorry. I owe him $1 now or a quarter because I can't use acronyms. So, Emergency Medical Technician.
So those are what they call basic life?
Basic life support, where a paramedic is an or emergency medical technician paramedic, and that's additional training. So it's a certification that you hold with the state of Washington.
其實呢個係一個好好嘅機會嚟嘅，等你哋可以又真係貢獻社會嚟救人，一個最緊要嘅。
考一個車牌又驚壓力大，學車其實可以學得好愉快。係 IDA 國際駕駛學院又為你度身而做嘅課程，近10年擔任華州交通部考察官嘅經驗，我哋嘅導師會提供最新最完善嘅駕駛知識、安全準則同埋主要道路嘅交通情況。IDA 嘅課堂技術與理論兼備，因應每個學員嘅駕駛進度，1對1嘅教授有助你掌握考車要訣，同你分析考試技巧，學車考車都可以一剔過，培養正確嘅價值觀，改善危險嘅怪習慣。自信、安全、知識盡在 IDA。
歲可以開始申請？有冇個年齡限制咧？
The only thing you have to reach here is age 18. So that we'll hire down to 18 years old because you have to be 18 to be an EMT in the state. So we do, I'm not going to name names, but our ages, but there is a recruit in that group that we're going to see that is over 50 years old that just left the military after many years of service and is part of our group and has joined our organization.
Here's our training captain, Emerson. And your name is?
Tom Keene.
Tom Keene. How long have you been with Suffolk County Fire?
16 years. So we're going to do a training exercise you'll see here, but we're not going to, because we're simulating it with the fire evolution involved with it, we're not going to use all the equipment and gear that we would normally use on one of these calls, just because we don't want it to get wet and dirty, you know, in that environment. So it's kind of an abbreviated version just to give an idea of what we do, but it's not everything that we use.
一開始咧，佢就裏邊有啲火同埋有啲煙咁樣用嘅，因為火最緊要咧就 that I'm thinking about there's a lot of smoke inside, right?
Yep.
So this 好火裏邊好多煙，佢哋有特別嘅 they have a machine to take a look 佢哋有個特別咧可以睇到啲煙裏邊都可以入去睇到嘅，呢個最緊要，因為咧可以揾人。All right.
Okay, so these guys are going up and they're going to check the door to see if it's secure or not. In this case, the door's locked, so they're forcing entry with tools to make access into the home. The other crews at the same time are getting ready, they're getting the hoses ready. They see smoke showing out of the door, so they're going to get the hose ready to deploy. They get the door open, they announce fire department so that everyone knows. The next crew is getting the hose line ready to be charged with water. It's important to get it laid out just right so that there's no kinks or problems with the hose once they charge it with water. So they call for water. The person that's going to be on the nozzle of the hose is ready for water to come to it. The other crew's getting it hooked up over here to the engine. They're starting to put on their self-contained breathing apparatus mask so they can go into the smoky environment and begin searching for any possible victims that might be inside the house.
佢哋個個都帶咗啲氧氣筒落去，可以入去咧，可以直情唔使呢個擔住呢個。嗰啲咧就我個水喉咧個車裏火燭車裏邊有水㗎，係載咗啲水喺度嘅。如果係好，如果嗰度又係嗰啲 fire hydrant 啲，佢哋會 hook up 到嗰個 fire hydrant 嗰度。
Okay, you can see now that there's water to the end of the hose. He tests it.
佢喺度試嗰啲水噴出嚟，有冇水先？睇下佢噴唔噴得出嚟好。
Okay, the pressure in the hose is good, so the partner and him, they already have their masks on. They make entry into the house. They're spraying water to put out any visible fire that they're encountering.
咁等佢之後咧，其他人咧可以入去啦。OK。
The next crew comes up, and their job is searching for any victims that there might be. So the crew that's coming in behind are searching for victims.
佢哋然後就睇下裏邊有冇人喺度，咁啊準備救出。佢哋好多，因為裏邊好多煙，我哋唔能夠影住啦。佢就咁先入去，好小心啊佢哋。So can you actually see the smoke in there or?
Yeah, it's light.
Light, okay.
They were trying to get it smoked up, but it.
裏邊係咪喺度喐緊？
Yeah, 你睇嗰度啊，啲水噴晒嗰度啦，right? So that's what the water, right? That's we putting water in all places. Okay.
So they found one victim. They bring
them
out.
Victim.
The EMS crew then moves forward to receive the victim.
所以佢嗰個係受傷嘅，喺裏邊嘅。咁呢個咧係嗰啲救護人員咧，就即刻走去幫佢救啦，係即刻呢個響 因為分開你所有咧，嗰啲消防員呢啲就救護人員一齊做嘅，唔係話淨係消防員入去嘅。
And that way, with the medical crew, they can work on the victim, and the firefighters can still continue addressing the fire.
Right.
So the fire's out, but we still have to, attend to the victim that got pulled out, and yeah, yep. They'll stay for sometimes hours just to make sure, because once the fire is put out, you still have to open up the concealed spaces and make sure there's no hidden fire in there, and make sure it's 100% out before you leave.
I have to tell you, the fire gear, the gear they're wearing is heavy.
It's heavy. It's about 50 pounds of
50
extra
pounds,
gear.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be considered like an MCO, or a multi-company operation, where you have multiple things going on at the exact same time. So you saw a fire attack, you saw a search, you saw a forcible entry occurring, and then of course EMS once the victims were brought out. So there's 4 to 5 companies that are kind of working simultaneously, which is pretty normal for, this is what a house fire would go down as. And it actually goes pretty fast like this, surprisingly. When it's a simple problem like this, this is a very simple problem, as opposed to multiple stories where it's a very complex problem, and then all of a sudden we're having to run up 4, 5, 6 flights of stairs. Those are much more complex problems, but these are very simple problems for us. So. Yeah, so I'm a training officer. I'm attached right now to the county consortium, but I trained when I was with my crew on Ladder 10. We train daily. When we go on calls, EMS calls, a lot of the time we'll stop and go through the buildings and think about how we're going to fight fires in those buildings, or how we're going to search them, or how we're going to force those doors. It's kind of a constant. I mean, it literally is a constant.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't mean you train daily, but
Oh, no,
once in a while you continue upgrading yourself.
Yeah, well, so yeah, and there's other things. So there's lots of studies that have come out recently. In the last 12 years, they started doing a bunch of studies on firefighting, fire behavior, how fires behave in buildings. And so all that stuff we have to be constantly reading upon, constantly learning. You had said something in the classroom, and I thought it was interesting, because you were like, well, you don't have to be that big because we do a lot of EMS. And I kind of disagree with that, because even though we do a lot of EMS, I think the true benefit is that you look at some of these people, little Mike and Tonti or Park over there, they're not big people. Tom's not a very big guy, but they're great firefighters because they know how to use their bodies, and it's really more of a mental game than it is a physical game. So if you mentally know how to use your body and mentally just are unwilling to give up, then you do really good in this job. And that's male, female, doesn't matter. I was going down the medic route, and the first person that I worked with at AMR, Medical Response, as an ambulance guy, he was like, oh, you should be a firefighter. And I'm like, I'm scrawny, like I can't be a firefighter. And he's like, no, you just have to be willing to not give up. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm pretty stubborn. I'm scrawny, but I'm pretty stubborn. So, and that was how I ended up getting into the fire service in general. But originally I wanted to be a medic because of that, because I thought that you had to be this big guy. Yeah, I mean, I look at it as like we mitigate our risk by training and by knowing how to do our job really well. So somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, yeah, this job is very, very dangerous because they don't know what they're doing. So I mitigate that risk by doing a lot of training, studying the studies, or reading the studies, and being kind of a member of the craft, as opposed to just kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to do okay. So.
大都會眼鏡，時尚、色彩與視覺並進，關懷、信心盡在大都會。大都會眼鏡係溫哥華列治文百家店1715號。
we got Henry in here. I just want to ask you, Henry, every one of us on second grade was raise a hand and say, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a paramedic, right? Not many people kind of, forgot about that, right? So how does that inspire you to be a firefighter and a paramedic?
Well, I guess of course, every kid's dream is to be a firefighter, and that was mine as well. And I still wanted to do it during high school. I like staying active and being in teams, so I thought, this is a good career choice. But for me, I was really young, and fire departments usually hire people that have some life experience. So I joined the military, did that for a few years, and I decided to get out, and I still wanted to do it. So I said, why not? Like, there's endless opportunities, and it's a good career to serve the public, help people out, make a difference, and have fun.
Oh, that's good. Are you from this area?
I'm from California.
California, okay. So what did you do to just apply, or did you go to certain school first, or training, or something to get yourself qualified?
Yeah, so the minimum requirements for the department, I needed to be an EMT, and I didn't have my certification. So I took a EMT class out in Leavenworth, Washington, and once I got that, I was able to start testing here. But before I got that, I was testing for other departments.
Oh, good.
I'm glad I'm here, though.
Yeah. So this training is how long? I think you graduate next week, right?
Academy was
Academy.
3 months, and we have another 2 months a month and a half of pre and post.
Pre and post. Okay, right. So far, how do you feel? You getting tired, or is that a challenge? Excited?
Excited.
Oh, okay.
It was tiring. I mean, there's
Right.
long days. It's a very physical job, but excited.
Actually, we just talked about it's a family kind of way. Whoa, my God, that's really dangerous. Why they don't want you to do it, or did they even imagine you want to be a firefighter? How does the family feel about you being in this profession?
Oh, they love it. They're happy. My parents came to graduation, and they're really happy and excited that I'm going to be starting this career.
All right. Do you have any family or friends that have been a firefighter? And,
No family members, but I have friends that are in the fire service.
so it's important that you're able to talk to him or her before you come in, understanding what's required.
Absolutely, because firefighting, when people think about firefighters, they think it's just fires, but it's a lot more medical than fires. So being able to understand that and still being happy about the job is important.
Good. So do you happen to see something some little kids now want to be it? So what's your advice to them to able to get into the profession?
Oh, just go for it, 100%. Opportunities are out there. Be positive and apply, and just go after your dreams. Go for it.
All right. The main thing is determination, right?
That's it.
I think determination. Don't give up. All right. Thank you. It's great.
Thank you.
So are you from this area, or?
Originally, yes. I'm from Whidbey Island.
Oh, Whidbey Island. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you.
And then I moved over towards Lake Stevens area.
Lake Stevens. Okay.
And so this is kind of my.
It's still this area.
Yes, it's still this area.
This area.
Snohomish.
Snohomish.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hello, and I'm David Chan, and you're Tiffany.
I am Tiffany.
Tiffany. So we're lucky here to ask you. A lot of people in second grade, they all raise their hand, I want to be a firefighter, right? But most of them forget it in the 5th grade already, right? So were you in second grade, did you say I want to be a firefighter? Or
No,
what?
I said I wanted to be a ballerina.
Ah, okay. So pretty similar.
Yeah, just like it.
Okay. So what inspired you to get into applying for this job?
When I was in college, I was with friends that were volunteering, and I learned about the volunteer department, and then got in love with the EMT stuff, and I'm a paramedic now, and wanted to join South County Fire because it's one of the best departments around the area. The physicality of it is very difficult. I have to have very good technique to be able to do a lot of the same skills, but I'm able to do it when I work really hard on the technique. I have to work out a lot, make sure I'm in very good condition to be able to do this job, but I think it's a lot of technique too.
So have your family kind of worried about, oh my God, firefighter is really dangerous. I'm running into the fire and all this stuff. Do they have any concern on that?
Not as much as I would have thought they would have, but they have been very supportive. They really appreciate the job that I do, and I don't think they ever thought I was going to do this.
That's good.
But they're very proud of me. Yeah.
Okay.
When I went to college, I was in the International Studies program, and it was completely unrelated. So when I joined the fire department and went to EMT school, then I had to go back to school for paramedic school.
Oh,
So it was a whole extra schooling, more than I needed.
How will you kind of tell them what to do to get to where you're now?
So as I said, I started out at a volunteer system that got everything started. I got a lot of the training for this, got my EMT license, and I think anybody can do it. I'm a smaller female that was able to do it, like I said, with a lot of technique. And now my daughter wants to do it, and she's 6. So I tell her all the time, she can do it if she wants. You just got to put your mind to it and work really hard. Yeah.
All right, so this is Mike Anatani, one of our new recruits, and you know Commissioner Chan, my name's Chief Hovis. Part of the things that we ask recruits when we need to hire them, they need to be smart, they need to be able to use their brain and answer questions that might be unexpected. So of all these recruits, this recruit did the best with this unique question. Mike, how many other uses can you come up with for an ice cube?
You can grind it up and make a slushie. You can put it in a milkshake. You can put them on your shoes and skate around the house. I can give them to my dog. He loves to play with ice cubes. You could give it to a scientist and he could come up with an alternative use for energy.
So part of this thing is just being able to come up and answer questions, because in the fire service, when people call 911, every call is different, every person is different. We need them to be able to use their brains. And he didn't even say putting an ice cube in a martini or anything like that.
Ice cubes only martini on the rock.
So
all right.
You did good.
Dry.
Thanks. Hey, congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
All right.